Tucker Carlson did his show last night and talked about that individual. Normally in these situations, I would play you the video, but I just can't do it. I can't sit and listen to his smarmy voice and look at his smug, stupid, fascist face. I just can't do it. So I'm gonna read it because it's important. What's that?
I said bravo. It's good.
Thank you. I can't look at. They showed me his face. Come on, guys. Anyway,
people know who he is. That's all.
People know who he is. No, I get it's the director's obligation to put a B-roll. I totally get it. So here's what he said. At one point, the 17-year-old who has now been charged tried to run from the mob. He tripped and fell in the middle of the street. A man ran up and smashed him in the head with a skateboarder. The 17-year-old then fired his gun. Let's leave that up for 1 sec. This was not 2 nights ago that Tucker Carlson said this. This wasn't 8 a.m. yesterday that he said it. He said it late last night. And look at that sentence. The beginning of the sentence is at one point. Begs the question, which point exactly? Because we knew hours and hours before Tucker Carlson took to his stage to do that. At what point? Oh, the point where he was running from the first murder he'd committed. He's on tape having shot someone in the head as other people try to provide emergency assistance to the person he'd murdered. He runs away and on tape says, I just killed somebody. And so people tried to chase him down because he was a murderer and he was fleeing the scene. But Tucker Carlson presents it as the pretext for self-defense. How dare someone try to stop him? And then the rest of them are saying one of the people that tried to stop him had a gun. Yeah, but that's the good guy with the gun. He saw a murder and he tried to stop the murderer.
You've been talking about you people have been talking about the good guy with the gun for as long as there's been an argument about whether to arm people, right? You get a bad guy with a gun. That's an NRA mantra. So here you had it. You had the good guy with the gun.
Yeah, you had the good guy with the gun, or you had, you know how like whenever there's a school shooter or someone hijacks a plane or a train and people swarm them and try to stop them. Sorry, when white people do that, it's a good thing. In this case, no. If you try to stop the murderer, that justifies whatever he does. Whatever he does. So I anticipate the next time some ISIS sympathizer drives into a crowd, after the initial hit, if people try to drag him out of there, Tucker Carlson apparently believes that he gets to slam on the gas again and drive out, because how dare they stop him? He's only defending himself at that point. And people like Steven Crowder are like, he surrendered himself to the police. That's why, unlike Jacob Blake, he wasn't shot 7 times. That's an interesting read on the situation where, to evade justice for the murder he just committed, he flees the scene, murdering more people along the way, then flees across state lines until, thankfully, because of social media pressure, he's identified and tracked down. For the right, he is still a hero. Despite the fact that we know the entire timeline, we know exactly what he did, he is being held up, not as a murderer, not as a terrorist, but as someone who just defended himself. With Tucker Carlson going on to say, people in charge from the governor of Wisconsin on down refused to enforce the law. They stood back and watched Kenosha burn. So are we really surprised that looting and arson accelerated to murder? How shocked are we that 17-year-olds with rifles decided they had to maintain order when no one else would? He's defending a terrorist.
And he also has the chronology wrong. Murder and arson didn't lead to murder. Murder led to arson and looting. And whatever you think of the arson and looting, that's the chronology. And then the murder that happened after that had nothing to do with why everybody was out there in the first place. So the chronology is really important in the way that Tucker Carlson framed it. Sure, you could do that and you could convince people, but you're also lying, or you're not telling the whole story, so you're lying by omission.
Yeah, and look, so Steven Crowder, of Ben Shapiro, or God knows who else, these, like relatively independent, except a billionaire money fascists online. If those right wingers do this, okay, they're apparently accountable to nobody. Tucker Carlson is a host on a media company. And he, in the immediate aftermath of this terrorist going to this place to shoot people and murdering multiple people, he defended it and in fact said, what else was he to do? No one else would maintain order, so he had to, pitching murders as order. And is Tucker Carlson in trouble for this? Is he suspended? What other, in the immediate aftermath of what other terror attack can you make excuses for the terrorist? And it's just, it was his Wednesday broadcast.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
It's I don't know, and look, but look at his bosses. They also own the New York Post. The New York Post today showing pictures of this murderer beforehand, washing graffiti off of a wall like he's a good Samaritan. So they're right behind him. This company knows what they're peddling, and that peddling brings them to Tucker Carlson, who has a coveted slot in their evening lineup and gets to do this with free reign. So this is something they embrace. This is something they look at as good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up that New York Post thing. Actually, can we bring up the comparison that David Hogg and a lot of other people noted as well? But yeah, with Kyle Rittenhouse, it's that he was clearing graffiti. But with Jacob Blake, it's, he deserved it because there was a knife in his car. And they do it every time.
AR-15 is fine, but a knife.
Yeah. Oh God, if only Kyle Rittenhouse had a knife in his car, then the police surely would have stepped in and done something. Right. And they do it every time. Doesn't it just kill you to have to show a graphic like that? Because you knew that was gonna happen. Yeah. You knew it was gonna happen. If Jacob Blake gets shot 7 times in the back, we're gonna find out if he ever didn't pay full price for his milk in elementary school. We're gonna find out everything he ever did so that we don't have to feel like this is an injustice. But if a white guy murders multiple people, well, did he play intramural hockey? Tell me more about him. How normal of a kid was he? I wanna find out more about him. And they do it every single damn time.
All right, you've gone too far when you're mocking intramural hockey.
I don't have a problem with the hockey.
I know you know that. You know that I was going to come out.
That's true.
To defend, but the point you're making is true, and it sounds hokey and it sounds like a way we never were maybe, but I do believe that there was a time where everybody could see what happened to Blake in Kenosha. And everybody, regardless of party, would be sickened, and everybody would just be heartbroken what happened to that community. And many people, not just the people who are activists, but many people would be able to sympathize with their frustration taken to the streets over this thing. And now it's us and them. It's us and them. Us and them constantly. This is a shared American tragedy, and it's not anymore. And that's really the most disheartening thing about this.
And the Kenosha sheriff, who in the immediate aftermath of this was like, hey, I'm not blaming them, but these protesters were out after curfew. So that's
the police chief. He might have been the police chief, John.
I apologize. I might be wrong. I believe it was the same individual that now a 2018 speech is coming to light where he was saying that shoplifters should be shut up in massive warehouse style prisons and never see the light of day again because they're human garbage. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's multiple people in law enforcement in Kenosha that are absolute trash. I don't find that all that surprising, but if you believe that there's definitely going to be justice, I mean, you've come to the wrong country. You think that he doesn't have a chance of getting off on self-defense, even though he's clearly broken multiple laws and getting that gun illegally and carrying it across state lines? You think that if he doesn't get the right jury, that he's not gonna get off or get a very light sentence? We'll see. I wanna be surprised. You know what? I was supposed to be being hyperbolic yesterday and it turned out I wasn't. I hope today's the day. I want to be an idiotic blowhard, but this country is such a parody of itself that I can't be anymore. And let me just say one other thing. So here's the frustrating thing. Also, they're doing Portland-style kidnappings in unmarked cars in Kenosha as of yesterday. So that's cool. That's exciting. We give them all the weapons of war from Iraq, and for some reason they're driving around in Kia minivans and abducting people off the street. That's cool. Here's the thing that's ultimately frustrating about the right-wing reaction to this is we should be able to agree on one thing. It is not okay to murder other Americans, but we have not agreed on that. And so we're in a place now where one half of the political system, whether it's every individual or not, the default position of one half of it is they now support effectively child soldiers getting radicalized by right-wing propaganda and then going and gunning down ethnic minorities because they know they're gonna be lauded as heroes by the ruling regime. That's the terminology we would use in any other country around the world, so I'm choosing to use it here. I defy you to say one aspect of that that's untrue. And they support it. And they did present him as a hero, so there will be more Rittenhouses, and they will kill more people. And we already know a couple years ago, when all those pipe bombs and shootings were going on, and so many members of the media were being targeted, they made excuses for that too. Like, it's no longer the case where we're just disagreeing about where exactly the corporate tax rate should be. Some of us believe that we should have disagreements based on the facts. Some believe it's legitimate to hunt us down and kill us. And they're not just YouTubers or on 4chan. Some of them are the most watched hosts on cable news. And it makes me so depressed about what the future's supposed to bring. I'm supposed to get up here and like give you facts about COVID to convince you to support Medicare for all. The other side thinks it's okay if I die. They might not say it that explicitly, but if somebody were to bust in here and shoot me, the media would be whitewashing, their history in the past. They'd be finding some sort of excuse. It's just a lone wolf, doesn't represent anything. And again, I hope that I'm being hyperbolic, but it feels every day, it feels a little bit more difficult to believe that that isn't the dark present. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.